All right, guys, let's start this one off. So we were talking about prices yesterday, and one of the things that I mentioned was how the Bitcoin price is going up. Or sorry, how Bitcoin, how I predict that Bitcoin is going to be worth like 100K. Very simple, right? If you got to understand how much money has been printed in the last 1 year, and when you look at the global money circulation, you got to look at how much percentage more has been printed. In my opinion, it's only about 10% more. Normally we have like a 2-3% rise every year, right? And this is why we have a 2-3% inflation on all products and income and wages and everything every year, right? Which means your basic pay rise is happening because it's not a pay rise. It's basically that inflation level has been added onto your wages, and so on and so forth, right? So your products are worth a little bit more because of that little 2-3% inflation that they're adding on. Sometimes you might see there's a 6% increase. That's because there was a 6% more money printed that particular year. I won't go into too much politics about how money's created and why money's created, maybe in another video in the future, but right now we want to talk about why I think Bitcoin's going to be worth 100K and not 250K like some of the big bulls are saying, or some of the... I understood how money is created. Once I understood how money is created, I understood how fractional lending and all of that works, basically. So how my money could be turned into, 90 times that money or whatever, right? So 9 times that money. After understanding all of those things, I said, okay, let me, I'm doing Bitcoin already, so let me continue with Bitcoin. And I've started doing Bitcoin. Now what I do is I keep only a very small amount of money in my accounts. My personal account, not my business account. Business account is different because business has to run, right? But personal account, I only keep very small amounts of money, and whatever money I need to pay my bills with, after I paid my bills, then the rest of the money goes into Bitcoin. That's what I do. For me, the reason for that is I know in the very near future, we're gonna hit, I recommend everybody stay away. Let Bitcoin drop by at least 20%, 25%. If it drops by 20-25%, then you buy. So what we're looking at is currently the price is 12,000. I'm expecting it to be in the region of about 9,500. Okay, 10,000. So from 10,000 to 9,000 is a good point for me. I'm going to enter. I'm not going to advise that to everybody, but that's when I will be re-entering the market, because that's a 20% discount.
9.5.
That's my target. Yeah. So anything below that, even better. If it goes anything below that, then I'm going to try and find more money and buy more. But currently what I have, I'm good to enter at that time. Because if I enter a trade and I say, right, I want to go up, I want to go 2 times up, I want to play moderate. I don't want to say 10 times, 100 times. So if I do a margin trade for, say 2 times, right? 2x. 2x means 2 times that money. And if my trade goes positive, then I could potentially make double my money, But the thing is I'm going to do it based on a mathematical calculation, right? Very simple. It went down by 20-25%, right? I'm going to wait for it, and then when I see the market going back up, I'm going to put my trade on. From that point onwards, every percentage that I can make is going to be worth double that amount. So even if it's 1%, say for example, 10,000 pounds, 1%, right, is like 100 pounds. If it goes up by 1%, then I can make 200 pounds, and I will continue to make that. Make any sense?
You think it was a good idea to get out when you said to get out?
In my opinion, yes, because never be greedy.
No, be not greedy.
No, listen. Because when is the wrong time to get out and when is the right time? You don't know. We don't know. There is nobody on this planet that can tell you that this is the right time to exit or this is the right time to enter. Impossible. Because no one person or 2 person or an organization controls the market. Market is controlled by sentiment. Your emotion. How good do you feel to buy will rise the price. How bad do you think you want to sell, you want to exit, save your money? That's when everybody's going. So a lot of the time what's happening is right now the market is being pumped only by big people. Only by big people. Yeah, so I've said that, right? Now big people are basically going out there, and what they're doing, sorry, I need to update that. So what big people are doing is they're playing big money. They're putting in millions and millions of pounds, right? So when it's a situation like that, right, you have to understand that their 100 million or 200 million or 300 million potentially can raise the market by 2%. Now, when somebody takes, say for example, I'm going to give you a rough example so you understand. The market, somebody invested $100 million and the market went up by 1%. Do you know how much money he makes in that 1%? 100 million, I just told you. He makes 1 million.
1 million, yeah.
Yeah. So if you put £10, how much will you make? 10p.
Oh, 10p.
10p. So the smaller amount you got, the smaller money you make. But somebody like that can control the market and raise it by 1%. That 1% is 1 million. Imagine making 1 million a day. 100 million guy could do that.
And you think if now, by now, at this time, we would never exit from Bitcoin, we would be better off or bad?
If you enter Bitcoin, you buy one physical Bitcoin and you keep that physical Bitcoin, it doesn't matter how much the price is, it's always worth staying in it.
Yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah, but in your case, but in your case, you entered with a very small amount of money.
Yeah.
So what you need to do, the strategy for you is to buy more Bitcoin. So use the same amount of money, buy more Bitcoin. Make profit, buy more Bitcoin. And that's the cycle you need to do until you get to 1 Bitcoin. If you can own 1 Bitcoin, you've made it.
Okay, so now I need to wait for the Bitcoin.
Every time, yes. When Bitcoin goes up, right, you cash out. When Bitcoin goes down, you buy, use the same money to buy. So you have to think about it the way, this is my original investment. I invested £100, £1,000. Now I made 20%, I made 30% profit. I'm going to keep that. Next time when it comes back down again, or if it comes a little bit less, if I can buy 10% more, so you buy 10% more Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're buying more and more Bitcoin, because that's where the key is. Your fundamental, most important, save as much Bitcoin as you can. That's what's going to be worth money.
Okay.
You understand? Yeah. Anyway, back again. Right. So the situation we've got is, we know that a lot of percentage, like 10, 12% of money has been created globally. But the best thing about it is what you have to understand is no money in the planet has been debased, right? Or like what I'm trying to say is devalued. This is quite funny. This is a fact that nobody's been seeing. Everybody's been seeing how Britain printed XYZ billions of pounds, how USA printed trillions of dollars. But what nobody's realized is the dollar value didn't drop. You still, what we had in the beginning of the year, or even what we had last year, is still pretty much the same. So how come you've printed $12 trillion and yet your dollar value is exactly the same? The reason people didn't understand is because that same amount of money is actually been printed. The same value of money has been printed globally in other countries too, to keep the balance books at zero. So by doing that, the currency values are exactly the same. Temporarily, however, they won't be. In order for the government to fix that, what they either have to do is basically, obviously, inflate everything. We understand, pay more, XYZ. Or the other way is completely get rid of the currency, right? Again, I don't want to go too deep into it, but I'll just give you a rough example, right? One of the biggest tests of how would you call this? A regional currency, right? Let's call it a regional currency. In Europe, you've got all these countries that are members of Europe and all can use the same currency, so the euro dollar, right? So a lot of people don't know this, they call it the euro, but it's actually the euro dollar. The euro dollar allows all of these countries to trade amongst each other, buy goods amongst themselves for the same value, right? And in my opinion, that's an experiment of the new global currency that we're going to see very soon. But we'll leave it there for now. That's how they're going to fix the economy. But because of all of this 10% being printed and all these balancing they're going to have to do, and every year they're going to have to inflate it, over the next 5 years, whatever money you have is going to be worth less, right? So for example, I'll give you a good example. Say you have £10,000 today and they've inflated the currency tomorrow and everything now is worth 10% more, wages is 10% more, rent is 10%, everything's 10% more. Your money is worth 10% less. Do you understand? So when they inflate the number of currency in circulation, your money is worth that percentage less. Now you've had it for 5 years. £10,000, your money is now worth 50% less because every year you've had 10% reduce of your value. So it's actually worth 10,000 is now worth 5,000 in 5 years' time. Bitcoin has a deflationary mechanism, right? Which means it only reduces in supply. So other than that, nothing else, and it increases in demand. And also the circulation, you can't have more than the 21 million coins specified. And even that is a far, long time remaining until we get to that level. So when you look at that, you can see how this model works. That means today, what you can buy, the amount of Bitcoin you can buy for 10,000, you can only buy half that, right? Or say 10%, I'll just keep it the same. So Bitcoin prices theoretically never changes. That means today the amount you can buy for £10,000, tomorrow you can only buy 90% of that, and following so on and so forth until you hit 50% of that. So in order for you to buy the same amount, you need to double your money. Now, remember, your 10,000 just became worth 5,000. If that's the case, then what's going to happen is you need to have £20,000 worth to buy the same amount of Bitcoin. That's the reason why I'm looking at Bitcoin and I'm saying, well, in 5 years, I could easily see it being worth $100,000, which if the dollar is still pegged to the ratio of 77 pence being $1 currently. So I'm still working on current market. It should be worth $100,000, which is £77,000. In my opinion. So one Bitcoin, that's what it's going to be worth, right? So that's how I'm being conservative. I'm not going over the moon with it or something, because I don't believe they're going to print another 10 trillion or 20 trillion or 100 trillion within the next 5 years. If they do, then I definitely see a Bitcoin hitting $1 billion. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those kind of things. But they're not going to do that, because having so much money in circulation just brings your currency's value down. Nobody wants to devalue their currency. So this is the reason why I predict that in 5 years, we're going to hit the 100,000 mark, or we're going to hit the 250 in 10 years, based on these kind of statistics and the numbers, and understanding inflation model, right? And understanding how your money is worth less every year. So every year you see a budget in the UK, for example, you see the council are coming up and say, oh, we've just had a budget increase. We're going to increase it by 6%. Guess what? Your money's worth 6% less now. That's all it is, nothing more, right? So if you understand that principle, you know where we're going to go, how much more money we're going to require to buy the same amount of goods and services in the future, right? And to control that, they have to get rid of the currency and create a whole brand new system. If they do that, then it's a different story. Then I can say a Bitcoin is going to be worth £1. A Bitcoin is going to be worth £100 or £1,000. Why? Because that new currency will be worth, say for example, £1,000 today would be worth £10 tomorrow. That's all it is. Which means that today's, today's £100 or whatever, £10 or whatever you want to call it, right, is worth a penny later. Again, it's the same maths, just put into a smaller number, right? And there's a few countries who have done that. They've literally erased a few zeros off their currency in order to make their currency look bigger, right? Again, you can do the research, you can find out. I've spent hours on it, but that's what it is. That's the reality. This is the reason why I predict that if we stay as we are, we're going to hit the 100K. And if we don't stay as we are and the monetary system changes and we have a one world currency or whatever you want to call it, I think even then that currency will be the equivalent of what we have today. So just try and understand these economics. These are very, very important, powerful things. Again, I'm going to tell everybody, if you have the chance, if you can, buy as many Bitcoin as you can, hold as many as you can. You don't need to sell it. That's the idea. Never ever give your Bitcoin away. Never ever get rid of your Bitcoin. It's worth money. And a lot of people ask, when is the good time to buy? Well, very simple. Whenever the market tops out, okay? So when you see the highest price that month, that week, that year, that whatever, just have a look, right? It's easy. You can check what was the price last week. You can check what was the price last month. And for me, I always say year to year. Look at the price last year and look at the price to this year. Compare that and see the percentage. And then your target should be 20% below that, in my opinion. Some people say even lower. And you know what? They're right. For example, in 2018, right, we had a crash and the market dropped by 90%. 90%. So if you look at that, we had a 90% correction. right? And then the market creeped up. But on average, we will definitely have a 30 to 40% correction. In my opinion, I like to be basically a little bit more conservative. I'm a lot more friendly with Bitcoin. I don't care if it goes to 40. I'm happy to enter at 20. Okay, so that's the kind of methodology I have. I'm a lot more generous when it comes to buying Bitcoin. I'm a lot more friendly. I'm like, okay, I can't catch the bottom because nobody can predict it, right? Which I've explained to one of my colleagues just before. So same thing. You can never ever figure out when it's going to be the right bottom. Nobody knows, and you never know when it's actual top, right? So you have to have a number just in between the top, bottom and the top, and say that's my entry, that's my exit, that's what I'm comfortable, that's what I'm not comfortable with. If you don't have that, you don't have a plan, full stop, right? So you know, just stay safe, don't lose money, and hopefully keep all the money that you earn, your hard-earned money, and yeah, just carry on with life. But remember, there's no right, there's no wrong, okay? Ultimately, Bitcoin has its numbers, and I've actually predicted what the numbers would be. The rest remains on you. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. Don't take my word for it, right? I could say Bitcoin's going to be a billion, a million. Who cares, right? Doesn't matter, right? Bitcoin is only worth one Bitcoin, and ultimately, fundamentally, a Bitcoin is only worth what it's worth to you. All right, what are you willing to keep it for? What are you willing to sell it for? What are you willing to buy it for? That's what matters. All right, nothing else matters. But one thing that remains as a fact is, remember, one Bitcoin is worth one Bitcoin, and there's only going to be 21 million, and all the institutions are jumping on board right now because they know that with this inflationary market system coming, like the economic system, and all these interests that are coming in, because remember, they know more than you and I do, because before the public knows, the industries know. So industries know that this is happening. So in order for them to save their money and their profits, they are now entering Bitcoin, and they're saving their money in Bitcoin because they can see the power of Bitcoin, that it will only grow in wealth, never reduce in wealth. Take care, guys. Had a long one. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Hopefully save your money.